So,
What's up?
is it recording?
Yeah, it's recording. Hey guys, this is Mack on Powerhouse Podcast. It was a long time I didn't really talk with anybody, but this time it's somebody new in my environment, especially on the elements of finance. So if you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Vikram. People normally call me Vic. So I moved to Hong Kong in 2015 for engineering, like every other Indian kid normally does. But now, long story short, I'm now working for a boutique investment bank where our primary focus is a hedge fund. But we're working in other verticals such as VC, PE, real estate, insurance, and things have been going pretty quickly for us. And I think Hong Kong is where we see a lot of future. So glad to be here.
If you can explain, because it's VC, it's very hot word. Like most people wants to do it, or just they're attractive to it. It's not really like it's really defined. It's what it is, and it can be different on different markets.
Good question. So as a company itself, we've done some acquisitions and we've done certain small investments in the companies. But the goal of the VC arm is to basically connect our high net worth investors and ultra high net worth investors to companies that make sense to them. Like what we've recognized is the VC environment, especially from the startup side, can be very hard to navigate. Instead of going for high valuations and high funding sums, it's better to work with an investor, who's very experienced in that market, and who can actually put their skin in the game and help you out, and not look at it as just another investment. So thankfully, with our investor base, we've got investors that come from various backgrounds, from tech, from hardware, from people who have like multiple empires of what they do, and so for a startup point of view, I think it makes a lot of sense to be working with someone who's very experienced, who's made money in that industry, and who's got skin in your game. And for an individual to invest 50 to 100,000 into your company is a lot more valuable to them than a VC. So that's how we look at things, because part of us being kind of a boutique fund is that we want to offer deals to clients that they don't generally get access to. If you're a client at a certain bank, all you will get is deals from those certain banks. Whatever insurance products they're selling, whatever investment products they're selling. We've recognized that what we do best is our hedge fund side of the business, and the other side is we know how to evaluate companies and how to evaluate people. And so based on that, we can provide clients with the right kind of deals that suits their portfolio and that suits them. Because at the end of the day, it's a people business, right? When we look at companies, one of the main things to look at is the people. One of the reasons why Apple is where it is because of Tim Cook and the kind of people that surrounds him. Warren Buffett says the same thing. He's always a people person. He's looking at.
This is you like him. Like for the time when I know you mention him or his partner a lot.
Yeah. It's again, it's something. It's a funny story because Charlie Munger, like Warren Buffett, would not be where he is if Charlie Munger wasn't there. Because Charlie Munger is the person who actually kind of changed his view of how he invested in companies. Because when he started off, he was doing a decent amount of investments and making money. But when Charlie came into his life, he was the one who kind of shifted his focus to you got to look at the value of the company in the long term. And that's when they went from a tiny company, not a tiny company, to like one of the most biggest organizations right now. Anyone who talks about investment will always mention Warren Buffett.
Did you hear the conversation about AI and then the quantum investments? you know, and the questions about if they are start implementing inside of their company.
I haven't heard that conversation,
Yeah.
but I don't think that is something that they'll be looking at very friendly.
Yeah, and it's funny because like he said, Mongol said it's like, it's like some people doing this,
Yeah.
they raising money, they investing the money, so until the money will be invested for this product and they'll be selling this product, they'll be doing this.
Yeah.
But if they will not, they will just stop. But it's the point is like it's just the type of the product, and it's special. It works for when he explained it, for a really really short period of investment. It's not something what they believe.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at AI, right, in the long term.
Exactly. So how does it change? How the AI change? If you can like mental pinpoint yourself an X amount of the time, like say 3, 6, 12 months ago, and you're like, oh, nothing's going on. And like, but and now, how does it look like? Yeah,
it's funny. Like, you know, even back when like I started in VC, you were looking at AI deals, but you know that wasn't the hot topic, right? And those deals weren't very good to look at. But if you look back, what AI is just an algorithm, right? And this has been around for, you know, since the 80s and 90s. So I think it's just it's almost like a marketing gimmick that in the last 2 years, since like people kind of started hearing about OpenAI, and you know, I think the shift was when retail users, like normal users, could access AI. And then people were like, oh wow, like this is the next thing.
But it's somebody because you have engineering background. If you can detail us, if I can understand what kind of background.
So I did electronics. I did electronics engineering.
So mostly hardware understanding.
Very hardware. Very hardware understanding.
For on my side, it was like maybe 20-30% was hardware to understanding, but most for me was the networks. So computer science in the network understanding, you know. So I think so, and it's for somebody like you, similar. It's an engineering understand of reality. And even if somebody say it's AI, I remember at the beginning like it's not AI.
Exactly.
It's a language. But it's not. I'm trying to explain it now. Forget about it. It's AI.
I mean I think that's where that's how individuals get fooled, because you know, when any hot thing comes out in the market, people are like, okay, like this is the next best thing, but you know, people don't understand how to evaluate something. Like even, you know, before all of this ChatGPT 4.0 and 4.0 came out, there were so many videos online of how people were basically tricking the AI to unlearn something. Like I saw this video.
Tricking AI how to unlearn?
Yeah, to basically, so like this guy basically posed a problem to me. What is 1 + 1? Yeah, I said 2. It's like, no, 1 + 1 is 3. And then they went back and forth, and by the end of it, the AI was trained that 1 + 1 is actually 3. So that's how, you know, fragile right now the language is, and I think like you could attribute that one of the reasons AI picked up videos is because of the hardware advancements, because previously, you know, we didn't have the kind of computing power that you need. So like if you look at from funds perspective as well, right? One of the reasons why companies cannot compete with the Renaissance or a Citadel or BlackRock is that their hardware is out of the world. Like if you and I try to even look and buy one piece of that hardware, we would just totally, you know, get out. And even when funds go there, they will get a 1 to 2 year waiting period before. But by that time, it's already.
But do you think it's kind of like an unfair game?
Yes, it's a totally unfair game. You know, like smaller funds will never have the access or the advantage that larger funds do. That's why, you know, when you hear things from someone like a Vanguard or Citadel or BlackRock, you know, you just gotta accept it, because you know those are really the masters of the universe.
So do you think this is they kind of just release the information what we want to hear in some degree, or you have a more, because I heard like more those consultants who start working in those companies, they start like, no, we just want to unplug ourselves, you know, from this kind of maintain of work for like 20 years in the system and not really get anything, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like they do gatekeep it, because without that, you know, where's their advantage?
Yeah.
Like if you've heard of Aladdin, right? Like Blackrock's system, and this is like before your AI shit came out. Like they've been like Aladdin is like one of the most powerful systems in the world. When let's say you're the CEO of a company and you go out and talk about your earnings, it's tracking everything you say. It's tracking your notes of how you speak, and it can basically, based on those information, those data points, it can actually tell, you know, whether you're lying, whether, you know, the company's actually doing well, whether the forecast of, you know, what you're saying is actually true or not. So, you know, that kind of information, if you have, and this is not insider information. This is just you using technology at its finest to get this. And so, you know, they've been in this part of the sector for way longer than people imagine.
But lately you have those kind of, you know, for me, the journey with my startup where I was involved, and the journey from like just idea into the became unicorn and later going public. It's a reality of a lot of shift back and forth. And I kind of feel like it's so much data points. I don't think so it's any AI can even grab this. You know? Yes, I think it will be more and more specialized, those AIs for those individual tasks.
So I mean, like I think it's what you sent me as well, right? Like the smaller company that's competing with NVIDIA, and so you'll see like those kind of companies come up that are just specific to those particular tasks. But I remember back in even 2019, there was this massive fund that I was working with, and they already had a system in their company where you know, when startup deals come, they had so many data points that the computer could figure out that it was able to do very high level analysis to give you answers to you know what you really want in a startup.
But do you see any type of AI softwares who help you navigate what next?
I don't think anyone can do that, because like the AI is trained based on the information that's out there, that's sold by us, right? Now there's a very good book by Peter Diamandis. It's about exponential technologies, and I think what it says is very true, is that you and I can never fathom what world is going to be like in the next 15 years, because the rate at which we have technology now, to scale up technologies, to build things that don't even exist, that like our brains cannot fathom, is so real. Like, you know, like like when you were growing up, when I was growing up, like to think that you would have an iPhone, like where, you know, you could play video games, you could talk to people, you could, you know, FaceTime people. It was like what would never even...
and it's like even understanding like what would be exactly the price for all of this.
Right? Like when people used to walk around with those massive, you know, Motorola phones.
It was me, dude.
I
was this dude who spent like 3 paychecks for this phone. And geez, there was and having it's like you need to stop the car, put an antenna on the top. You can making phone calls. You can tell me like what motivates you like daily to because you know I don't see you, you know, as a greedy person. Like people have the understanding of like a banker. It's just this, you know, typical type of person. They have this understanding, but they don't understand like it's the banker who just this believer, this kind of somebody who give this kind of you know the push to somebody else, you know, dreams, ideas, you know. So what motivating you to do what you're doing? You know.
I'll actually go back a few notches before I'll tell you how I came about to be in that aspect. Is so when I was doing engineering, I kind of was like, I don't want to do this. This is
when did you discover this?
This is like second year into university, second and a half year into university. I was like, this is way too boring. And growing up in India, that was all I ever dreamt of. So engineering is what, like, it's problem solving, right?
Yeah.
So I read a couple of books. One of them, like, I highly recommend reading. It's called The Third Door by Alex Banayan. And so what this guy did was basically, he was kind of like my scenario is like, what to do. And so he went on a quest to try and interview like the most successful people and ask them, what is like, how did you get about to be where you are, and what pushed you. And so the third door is basically like, like when you go to a club, right? There's 3 doors. Right? The first door is like the main entrance. And there's the, that's where normal people stand. And there's the second door where, all the VIPs and your table getters, they stand. The third door is basically you smashing your way through the kitchen, jumping hoops and trying to make your way in, right? And that really resonated. Exactly. So, and that resonated with me is what makes me do that, right? And so I think it all comes down to curiosity. That, like, when I started getting into the VC companies and we started working with startups, I think that's where curiosity really came in. It was like, like, look at this company with so much potential, right? Like, and they're just starting off. There's got a lot of hoops to go, and how do you get that person from like 1 to 10?
Yeah. And
like as I grew, as I started working with more companies, I think what I realized is like the end goal is about how much impact you can make into, and it doesn't mean like you make impact on the world. It means how much impact you can make into someone else's life, right? And people will remember you by the kind of person you were, and not basis of like you took that much money from me for this. It's like it's that kind of mindset that I put in, that it's like I'll figure out myself next, whenever it is. I'm not dying if I don't make a little bit of money, but helping people out and starting to see my help kind of help them blossom. That started putting me in that narrative that don't think about tomorrow, like how much money you can make. It's always like you build yourself in a network where people understand the kind of person you are and understand the kind of service you can offer.
And this was really interesting, like when we started the beginning conversation, with you and Steve, understanding of just don't lose it.
Yeah.
Just don't, like, it's the key of, like, it's not about making it, it's just don't lose it. Exactly. If you're just focusing on this, the not losing element, this is the element of making, Exactly. It's kind of like I think what Balfour was saying, the money not spent, it's money made.
Exactly.
Something like this.
Yeah. And and it comes to you, 6-fold, 10-fold. Because I think like one of the other people I really revere is Vikram, the guy who founded AngelList.
Oh yeah.
So I think his methods in life are very simple, right? He's like, one,
the best tweets.
The best tweets ever. Is that like all you need to do in life is basically become a person who has a very specific set of skills, right? And people go to those people because that's the weird combination that only you can offer, right? And that's what makes you valuable to society, because apart from that, if you do what everyone else is doing,
it's just what he said. One of my favorite one is that don't try to be the best, just be the one.
Just be the one, exactly.
Yeah.
It's
and it's not really defined, but it's just like just be the one.
Yeah. I mean, there's already way too many Indian people that are engineers in this world. And it's just finding that a little bit of a niche where you can be that person for an X amount of people.
What do you see for yourself in the next like 5-10 years? Or you don't really think like this?
Yeah, I take it year by year, honestly. Like I think, so like for me the next year is going to be very critical because the company is going public. So we have, obviously we're preparing the offering and everything, but the most key point of being public is how do we support it? How do we support the stock? And so that's going to be, the next phase of thinking for Balfour is, what kind of, because our going public is not a big, fundraise, right? We're only doing 15 to 25 mil. And what we're doing is essentially using that money to acquire small financial advisory firms, people that have great product, but they don't have the access that we do.
And being public it's big beneficial, yeah? For the business what you do.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it adds so much credibility. It offers us to work with these small firms or other big partners in the world because you're all part of the same game.
If there also is different type of paperwork as a like private company and later.
I mean, it's a lot more paperwork.
Yeah,
it's a lot more paperwork, right?
But in your books they're more open, if I'm correct.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, like how a fund operates versus what the fundraise would be for are different aspects. Because at the end of the day, like we're money managers, right? So that money is not being used to buy a company or whatever. That's why we need to do the fundraise.
How cryptocurrencies and those new form of value play the role in the stuff what you do?
I think from a long-term perspective, I think crypto kind of it showed people, right, that an individual can get the access that institutions do, right? Crypto market is 24/7. Now you can actually see the traditional markets are also 24/7, but you and I as individuals don't have access to that. Right, and as we go forward in time, markets are getting more efficient, and crypto is like one of the most efficient markets if you want to think of it. So when you look at traditional markets, they have a lot that they're going to be using crypto as kind of a pilot and enacting into their own kind of offerings, right? So you can see that your normal stocks will get digitalized. Private companies, right? Because at the end of the day, like if you look at companies that list on an exchange, these aren't companies that have gone through rigorous 5-10 years. These are companies that tokenized their company and put it on the blockchain, and it's giving opportunities to smaller firms, smaller companies that don't necessarily need to be a $1 billion valuation before they go public and get infusion from retail investors. It's creating access for companies like that. So one of the companies that we actually work with, I think, I don't know if we've ever spoken about this, but it's a very interesting company. It's called Harley's Healthcare Group. So it's a private healthcare group for high net worth individuals, right? So they're investing into biotech, health tech solutions that are ahead of the normal pace that public gets offered. Now, they obviously want to expand, and what they're doing. And they're going to go public later on, right? What they're doing is they're doing this fundraising through digital notes, and it's made for the retail person, for the individual investor. It's made things so easy because it's a private investment, but what you're doing is you're buying a bond. You're not buying equity, so it's a convertible bond. So the investor gets paid, an X% on interest yearly, and then they have the choice to actually convert that into equity. So when the company goes public, the investor gets to make money. So it's these kind of things, right? Like imagine for a company like SpaceX or a company like OpenAI that are private, every investor wants to get into that action, but there's not a perfect channel for them to get through. And certain companies don't want to get public, but having access to those kind of companies, it's about market efficiency. It's not. It's things that can be done, and so I think that's where there's so much to be learned from crypto. As a currency or as a platform, we don't know how it's going to be in the next 10 years, but definitely you can see these two kind of merging down the line, where certain assets which are very valuable in crypto will kind of make pots with.
How is, if you're on the line of the crypto, like tokenization of the real assets?
Yeah.
Like some people talking about this more and more, especially in the space of real estate.
Yeah.
How something like this can be implemented in the best way?
Yeah.
Because it's like you have a situation about physical properties that are owned by some individuals. You have taxations in the different markets, and then how something like this can be implemented into like reality.
I think the good way to think about it is like certain things, right? Especially when it comes to something so related to the government, it has to go hand in hand with the government, right? Because the benefits of having something on the blockchain are multiple, right? If you, especially when it comes to smaller countries where you have a land deed, you could lose the land deed, or someone steals the land deed. Like these kind of things wouldn't happen in Hong Kong. Yeah. But someone.
So are you saying that Hong Kong is this place when it's the reality of this connection between the finance and the government? It's one of the best in the world.
Yeah, I mean you could look at this, right? Because like first world countries don't have necessarily these kind of problems, right? Or smaller countries rather. But larger countries where there is lawlessness in certain parts of the world, there's no way to guarantee security for your assets. That's where blockchain really comes in. And I think when you implement that system in countries like that, in places like India, Europe, like parts of Europe, even Poland, even the US, because US by size is hard to control.
Yeah.
That's where the benefits come in.
The post office has one of the best I've heard. Like blockchain implementation. They were even planning to have their own tokens.
The post office.
Post office, yeah.
A funny one that actually implemented blockchain very early on is your Asia Miles, right?
Yeah.
So Asia Miles has implemented blockchain for a very long time. It was like back in 2019, 20. Because what they realized. Basically what used to happen is like right now, like when you spend with your credit card at a particular restaurant, like let's say they have a agreement with Asia Miles that you will get an X amount of miles for spending this. So that whole conversion used to take a lot of time, right? Your money would be received by the bank, then verified by Asia Miles, and then they would send you miles to your credit card and then register your credit card. But the blockchain, they made it so efficient that you actually receive it almost, as soon as the transaction clears. Yeah. And if you look at the finance sector, right, like the banks, that's where actually blockchain is so important, because right now, what people don't really see, what happens in the background is when I, let's say, FPS something, right? And you FPS your friend, and then you FPS me back, all of this moving of money is like moving instantly, right? Yeah. But then thing is, the banks haven't cleared it, right? So the banks actually take a lot longer to process this transaction. And with something like blockchain, all of this kind of barriers will be gone, because everything can happen.
Because they're removing the element of the mistake.
Yeah. And that's what it is, right?
Like what in the work what you do, how you eliminate scammers?
I think that's a funny one, because I feel like every time you try to eliminate scammers, they just become smarter and get on with the new scam. Yeah. I mean, some of this, like with AI, like some of the scamming stuff is insane. Yeah.
But even if like in like evaluating the businesses, startups, how you dealing with the moment when you just see the person of the company just lying?
Thing is like
percentage-wise, what it is?
It's a very high percentage. Yeah. Like previously when I was working in different companies, like I've come across some like deals that look insane on paper. Like, you know, they're like, this is going to be very good, this is going to be very nice. And people you start working with. And then it's only months later down the line, you realize how much scammy stuff is going on underneath. Like we worked with my previous firm, like we worked with a company where the CFO was actually just, was like the wife of an investor. Yeah. So she knew nothing about finance. So when we tried to question her, there was actually someone on the line who had their video off, was kind of answering for her, or she would turn off her mic and wait for someone to, you know, tell her the answers. And then
how much micromanagement do you have in all of this? Is it not stressing you out?
Like
micromanagement, because, you know, the connection between the, you know, investment and then people.
So you talking about the startups?
Yeah, startups.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's the thing, right? Like larger VCs, they can't micromanage. Yeah. Smaller VCs would like to micromanage. But, you know, I think like one of the things that I've realized in VCs is you can't be everywhere. Like you can't, like you need to kind of focus on your vertical. Because every different kind of industry will have different kind of players that you can't match with, right?
The templates for those kind of
I don't think
companies there? No.
I don't think you can ever have a template, because, you know, companies evolve. Like right now, right? You would see companies that come to you, they're already so much more educated than, you know, companies that you met 2 years ago, right? So like they know their stuff backwards and forwards. They know how to sell it to you in a way that, you know, even you'd be taken aback.
So if somebody wants to take advantage with connecting with you, what would be the best way? Just email?
Yeah, email, LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn's the best one. Like, just search for Vikram Srivastava.
You know, you're operating mostly in Southeast Asia, correct?
Asia and Southeast Asia.
Yeah, Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Do you think it's that this market has some specific type of future, different from, like, you know, South America, North America, Europe? It's more attractive. It's here.
100%. Because there's two things to, like, how I look at it is,
if somebody wants to open the business and just and want to start from somewhere, you know, and you have those kind of hubs to you know test your idea, you know, why are you thinking this region here it's lucrative?
For two reasons, or maybe three. So first one is basically, you see people in Asia, Southeast Asia specifically, they're hungry, not literally, but like hungry to do more, to make more money, to get rich, to, you know, because, you know, they've seen the harsh realities of life. And intellectually, you know, people in India, people in China, people in Southeast Asia, they're far ahead. Like, they've been learning things since 14, 13, way ahead of, you know, what you learn in college.
And I also I discovered it's a better understanding of like the Europe where I lived and the US where I lived. It's like give me.
Yeah.
Here it's not a lot of this. You know, it's the understanding is like I think that we can achieve much more, much better if we just do it ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this is what we've seen, right? Like, what happened in the U.S. What happened here is like they outsourced everything to Asia. You know, versus with India, China, then now the Philippines, Indonesia. You know, everything that is made and everything that is done, especially on a more complex scale, is done by these countries. Yeah. And these guys have realized that, you know, like if we're doing this for them, might as well do it for ours, and we'll do better. And I think that's why, you know, countries like India and China are in such great shape, because the intellectual horsepower is so high. Like I'll tell you, like when I was prepared, like when I was in India and I was preparing for my examinations to appear for my engineering exam to get into university, the stuff I learned in high school to prepare for these exams was so much greater, so much harder than anything that I learned in university in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So you can imagine.
I remember when I moved to US, I was 20 years old, and then I was teaching like just my regular math to just like the high level, you know, like in uni, like in the second year,
Yeah.
some of the people were like, okay, totally different game.
Yeah.
But it's if what would you do, it's only limited to the physical investment, or you also do, like, for example, introductions. Are you also doing like structuring the business, like additional consulting regarding to, you know, directions of those companies? Because most of the companies we're working there, what size they are?
Yeah, so I think we're doing a bunch of little bit for everyone, because obviously when we see these companies, we have a very good understanding of where they need to be. You know, what doesn't make sense to their business model, where, you know, even with certain public companies, we understand where they're bleeding money and how they should be, you know, be able to support their stock. So the thing is that we can't be everywhere. So, you know, we try to do best what we can, but just off the bat, you know, when we speak to a company, within a couple of calls, we can, like, if they listen, we can actually help them through a lot of different things. But, you know, at the end of the day, right now, like, our focus is on the hedge fund, because, you know, that's the bread and butter for the company. So when we do work with, you know, certain startups, and if we're working with them very closely, then, you know, we can pick up that road. You know, we can develop a sales force for them. We can you know, make sure that the kind of introduction they're getting makes sense, you know, for the longer term growth. You know, the kind of the way they're raising their money, does that make sense? And all these things, because you know, this is I think it's always like less is more, right? So, you know, it's better to work with 5 small companies and, you know, take them to the finish line, rather than putting your money into 50 different companies who you can't keep your eyes over. So, you know, it's, again, like, as I said at the beginning, right? It's a people game, right? And so for us, like, that's the main thing, is, do we like working with the person? You know, do we see that he's a good person? Because you know, you'll find bad people everywhere, and that's one of the things that I realized, like, you know, never, you know, if you have a, you know, layer of principles for yourself, and you see someone who's not on those principle level, don't even think about it, like, because, like, it might not come to you today, but, you know, 2 years down the line, they will burn you, or something will happen.
Do you have some like, just personal questionnaire where you going when you interviewing those people, because technically you're interviewing the people?
I think it's a few things, right? Like, firstly, I try to not even look at, like, okay, let's say we've had that initial call, right? Like, I know what to do. So then it's more just getting to know them on a personal level, seeing, like, you know, what are their responses to, you know, just personal questions, right? If someone's just trying to oversell me the shit out of their company, even when I'm asking them personal questions, or someone, you know, who's you know, when they're working with their coworkers, you know, how are they treating their employees, or how are they treating their co-founders? You know, you, like, in 2 to 3 meetings, you can actually figure out if the guy is a solo guy, or is he actually a team guy. And obviously, you know, I've gotten burned many times, as I'm sure you must have gotten burned a few times. So it comes with experience that, you know, after a few conversations, you can basically judge the vibe of the guy. So I don't think there's a checklist for everything, but I think, like, it comes with experience, that you, like, I think consciously knowing that, you know, when you get into a partnership, is kind of almost always evaluating at the beginning. Because beginning, like, this is how, like, I normally operate this way, like, I'll give you my 100% trust, but, you know, if I see you, you know, betraying my trust, I'll give you 1 chance, I'll give you 2 chances, but then after that, I'm not going to give you any chances, because I know, like, this is not going to change.
Is this stressful, what you do?
Oh, it is. I mean, you know, like managing people's money is always stressful, right? So, like, the business that we're in it's a 24/7 business, right? Because, like, the last thing you want is someone who's, you know, trusted you with their money cannot call you or cannot message you. So it is stressful, but at the end of the day, you know, like, what I've learned so much within working within this industry, and the kind of potentials that what we can do is that's what keeps me going. Is like at the end of the day you're helping people, and with Balfour, like this is the thing why clients do like working with us, is that it doesn't just end with them investing money into us. Clients message us asking, hey, what should I do with this, or do you have any introductions into for their own work, right? Like, do you have any introductions within the hardware? Can you find me someone who can help me with setting up a company there or a bank account there? And clients like that, because like you can never like pick up the phone and just tell your relationship manager, hey, I want to do this. And
it's kind of similar to that. It's kind of Swiss banking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. How are you managing this stress?
I mean, I like to. I know how to de-stress well, I think. So like even on a daily basis, I take like definite breaks where I do nothing. Right, like I'm better off watching 30 minutes of Star Wars on TV, and that would change my day than keep thinking about my problems. I think, but it's come with time, right? I used to be a very big overthinker. But over time I've known how to shut down that part of my brain. And I think sports are a really good way of taking your like works for like different people work for it. Some like running, some like working out.
Yeah, you need to do something to stop the head.
But I think it's I think it's the way to look at it is it's a choice, right? Like I made that choice. Nobody made that choice for me. And it's part of the journey, right? Like if you want to do great things in life, like it's never sexy. It's like the entrepreneurial deal is not like when you quit the 9 to 5, you're gonna work 9 to 3. It's more.
Do you think about retirement sometimes?
No, never.
Like doing something else?
No, not for now. When it was COVID, right? So like 6 months I didn't work, and I just drove myself crazy. Like guaranteed, like I was locked in a house. But
did you feel guilt?
Yeah, every day it's like I should have read something, or I didn't do anything. Like it was spent.
It's hard to understand. It's not doing. It's doing.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the physical is kind of like a pressure cook.
Yeah.
Of I supposed to be, because I'm not productive. Yeah, I think it's like it's something that's inbred. It's like it's stuck in this reality of action, But sometimes it's the question is like, for what?
Yeah.
This is the game plan. Understanding the game plan. Yeah. If you get a chance to like send a message to, because you achieve some type of lifestyle, some type of place. It's people dream about it, because you technically you are in this place when a lot of people want to be. It's not about what you do exactly, but it's kind of like a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because I'm like observing you from the distance for a little bit closer. If you could like send a message to everybody, what kind of message you would like to share? Like it's kind of like a
So it's a very good question. I think the one thing I would tell people is because
let's say this, just dudes. Just dudes.
No,
just bros.
Like how like what I also realized this, right? Like firstly, like no one person is the same, right? So that's where like having those principles is very important. Like what do you want from life, right? Having those things written out is very well. Like what do you want in life? Do you actually care about?
What's your principles?
Sorry?
What's your principles?
My principle is like I want a simple life, right? I like my family to be happy. I want them to show, like I want them to experience luxury of the world and like go around and travel and things like that, and to live in a good house. Personally, I don't give a shit about any of those. I'm happy with my iPhone and PlayStation or Xbox. I'm happy with those things. So for me, it's about
you're a very very people person.
Yeah, I love people, right?
Yeah.
And and that comes to the same thing. Like, what kind of people do you want to be hanging out with? Because I would say, what was a change in my life was I started hanging out with new people almost every year, and every person I learned from, they gave me a little bit of.
But you experienced or met the wrong ones.
Yeah, and the wrong ones.
How did you remove them from your life?
No, I think the
just click.
Yeah, just click. Like, just don't talk to them. Yeah. But it also gives you an experience. Like, okay, like that's the exact kind of person that, or qualities that you don't want in a friend, and then basically understanding from your work side of view, because nobody actually knows what they want to do in life. It just comes to you. So I think being curious about different possibilities, and looking for things that kind of take you down that rabbit hole is how you're gonna find that thing that you want to do. And then when opportunities are coming, especially when you start doing that something, then just don't say no. Like, bite more than you can chew, right? Just like, because I think everyone has to go through that phase where there's no net underneath you, right? So you have to kind of take that jump. But you need to know, I think that's the thing that people struggle with, is like, am I sure about this? And I'd say even if you're more than 50% sure, just do it. Because like, then, especially when, people are more sort of younger, like, taking the jump is not bad. Yeah. I would say, like, one of the best things I ever did was not continue in corporate. Because instantly I knew that, working in a corporate means, like, not only do you have the ladder to climb down, but the people are literally fighting against each other.
For me, it was it's such a shock.
Yeah.
Understanding like how how aggressive people can be between each other with the understanding like, oh, this person's against me.
Yeah.
It's no.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's not the way to live life, right? Like one of the reasons I love where I work is it's very transparent, right? Like, you have anything bad to say about me, people will just say it to me. Like, it's not like someone gossips to the other person. Hey, look, did you hear about it? Yeah.
What they do.
Yeah, but it's very normal. The team is small, like not small, but like decently sized. That you know everyone, and everyone has a personal connection, and I like that personal connection. So like when people are looking for opportunities, they should look for the kind of people that they want to work with, right? And if that person is not close to what you think they should be, then don't do it, because circling back is going to take you much longer than you waiting on the right opportunity.
For me, it was discovering like it's not about what I'm supposed to do, but what not supposed to do.
Not to do.
What not to do. So this is like it's kind of like implementation, like what I learned from like going for sports.
Yeah.
It's like you have this goal.
Yeah.
And it just will take it X amount of the time.
Yeah.
So you will not get the results right away, but you know not to do, what not to do. And later, like implementation, the same time with the work, is just like proper planning.
Yeah.
Like just start on the beginning with like, where are you going exactly?
Yeah.
And just physically, mentally, like squeeze yourself about it, prepare this plan.
Yeah.
To almost like it's kind of like a engineering understanding of what it is.
Yeah.
And when it's planned properly, it's later the adjustment was so much easier. And if you're surrounding yourself with the people who understand what you want to do and they are part of this journey, oh my God, it's so much easier.
Yeah. 100%. I think like I've been kind of lucky that people around me were kind of those people, like people who were just doers, and some people insanely smart. I wouldn't say I'm like one of the smartest in the shed, but I'm like average. So I think like learning from your friends, learning from the people you're surrounded with is the best way to do it, because there's no perfect recipe, but
And you cannot by yourself.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah.
No way.
You need people in your life who would trust you, who would kind of bet on you, and who will see that this is a decent person. Like like I'd rather give him a chance than not.
Yeah. Okay, dude. Thanks so much for the time.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Cheers. Was anything left? Yeah. One more.
We got more wine.
Yeah. Yeah, guys. All the additional descriptions will be added under the video, and then I think so we'll set up another one conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, done.